The life of Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana's first president and one of Africa's most significant political figures, is a story steeped in ambition, transformation, and resilience. Imagine a man who rose from humble beginnings to lead an entire continent's call for liberation and unity, navigating life under constant threat and immense political pressures. This is the story of a visionary who, despite near-fatal attempts to silence him, stood firm and determined to change the course of history. Beginnings, humble roots, and big dreams. Kwame Nkrumah was born on September 21, 1909, in Untold, a small village in the western region of Ghana, then part of the British colony known as the Gold Coast. His mother, Elizabeth Nyanaba, was a retail trader, and his father, Kofi Ngonloma, a goldsmith. Despite their limited means, Nkrumah's parents understood the importance of education and enrolled him in local schools. Bright and curious, young Nkrumah's potential was evident from an early age. He attended Akimota College in Accra, where he not only excelled academically, but also became aware of the socio-political climate in Ghana and the wider colonial empire. These early years ignited his sense of identity and resistance. The awakening, education abroad, and political consciousness. In 1935, Nkrumah moved to the United States to attend Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, a historical black college. The years he spent in the U.S. exposed him to the struggles of African Americans and heightened his awareness of racial and colonial oppression. During this period, he read extensively, immersing himself in the works of Marcus Garvey, Karl Marx, and Lenin. He earned multiple degrees in theology, philosophy, and education, while actively participating in student movements and lectures about African liberation. By the time he left for Britain in 1945, Nkrumah's vision had evolved beyond Ghana. He was determined to see the entire African continent liberated from colonial rule. Returning home to revolution, the UGCC, and the Big Six. Nkrumah's return to Ghana in 1947 was the beginning of a turbulent period in the country's journey to independence. The United Gold Coast Convention UGCC, Ghana's first nationalist party, welcomed him as the General Secretary. Nkrumah, alongside prominent leaders such as J.B. Dankwa, formed the famous Big Six, a group of prominent Ghanaians who spearheaded the independence movement. However, Nkrumah's radical approach soon put him at odds with other UGCC leaders who advocated a more gradual approach. In 1948, riots broke out in Accra following the shooting of protesting ex-servicemen. British authorities arrested Nkrumah and other leaders of the UGCC, branding them dangerous agitators. But prison only strengthened Nkrumah's resolve, and upon his release, he left the UGCC and established the Convention People's Party (CPP) in 1949. The People's Man, leading Ghana to independence. Nkrumah's new CPP quickly gained massive support from the people, especially the youth and working class, who saw him as a true champion of their struggles. His slogan, "Self-government now," resonated with Ghanaians across the colony, facing mounting pressure. The British allowed limited elections in 1951. Nkrumah, still imprisoned for political activism, won by a landslide. He was released and became the leader of government business. Over the next 6 years, he led the Gold Coast through political reform and development until, on March 6, 1957, the colony gained independence, and Nkrumah declared Ghana free forever. This monumental achievement made Ghana the first sub-Saharan African country to achieve independence, igniting a wave of liberation across the continent. Beyond Ghana's borders, the vision for a united Africa. Nkrumah was not content with Ghana's freedom alone. He believed in the potential of a united Africa. He argued that political independence meant little without economic independence and lobbied tirelessly for a united African front. In 1963, he helped found the Organization of African Unity (OAU), aimed at fostering cooperation among African nations. Nkrumah's Pan-Africanism was more than rhetoric. He envisioned a continent that was politically and economically integrated and immune to neo-colonial influences, dangerous ambitions, and assassination attempts. As Nkrumah's influence grew, so did opposition to his power. In Ghana, several assassination attempts were made on his life, highlighting the danger that surrounded him. One particularly close call was the Kulungugu bomb incident in 1962. On a tour in the upper region, a bomb detonated near him. Nkrumah was injured but survived, yet the experience marked him. From that day on, he became increasingly cautious, enforcing stricter security measures. He became a target not only for local opposition, but also for Western interests threatened by his socialist policies and ambitions to form alliances with Eastern Bloc nations. Personal life: the man behind the leader, behind his political zeal, Nkrumah had a quieter side. In 1958, he married Fathia Rizk, an Egyptian woman, symbolizing his commitment to African unity. The couple had 3 children, and their marriage was a living example of Nkrumah's Pan-African ideals. However, the demands of his role often kept him from his family, leading to a life of solitude despite his fame. His wife's presence was a reminder of the softer side of the man who carried Africa's hopes on his shoulders. The downfall, exile, and reflection: as Nkrumah's administration increasingly leaned toward authoritarianism, his popularity began to wane. Accusations of corruption, mismanagement, and silencing opposition tarnished his image. In 1966, while Nkrumah was on a peace mission in Vietnam, his government was overthrown in a military coup. Exiled in Guinea, he spent his final years reflecting on his life's work and writing extensively about his vision for Africa. Despite his ousting, he never gave up hope for Africa's unity. Nkrumah passed away in Bucharest, Romania, in 1972, far from the homeland he had fought to liberate. Legacy: the immortal impact of Kwame Nkrumah. Today, Kwame Nkrumah's legacy endures as a symbol of African pride and resilience. His vision of Pan-African unity remains relevant, inspiring new generations across the continent and the diaspora. Nkrumah's life story serves as both a reminder of the dangers faced by those who challenge powerful interests and a testament to the enduring strength of a visionary leader who dared to dream of an Africa that was free and united. His role in the UGCC, his clash with colonial authorities, and his sacrifices for Ghana's independence remind us that progress is often met with resistance. But Nkrumah's legacy shines on, calling us all to honor his dream by pushing for unity, justice, and dignity for all Africans. In the heart of Ghana, a young Kwame Nkrumah grew up under the weight of a mystical prophecy that seemed to follow him through every stage of his life. Legend has it that when he was born, an oracle foresaw greatness in him, but also warned of the dangers he would face. As a young man, Nkrumah's hunger for knowledge and his passion for justice would fuel his journey, taking him from humble beginnings to the heights of political power. Yet, even as he fought for independence and unity, shadows seemed to loom, whispering reminders of that early prophecy. As Nkrumah rose, he became a target for those threatened by his vision of African self-determination, especially Western powers wary of his ambitions. One of the most chilling attempts on his life came during a trip to the northern region of Ghana. It was a typical day of speeches and handshakes until a bomb went off in the crowd just as Nkrumah approached. The explosion took the lives of several around him, leaving many injured. Miraculously, Nkrumah survived, but the event left a mark on him and his supporters, who began to fear that the prophecy might indeed hold true. Who was behind this attempt? Was it the opposition? Or perhaps more sinister forces were at play, as rumors began to circulate about foreign involvement? This attack was only one in a string of attempts on his life, each making the prophecy feel more real and the danger more imminent. Then, in 1966, while Nkrumah was on a diplomatic mission abroad, he received devastating news his government had been overthrown in a coup. He was forced into exile, finding refuge in Guinea, where he was named co-president by Ahmed Sékou Touré, an ally and fellow visionary. In his new home, Nkrumah became a figure cloaked in mystery, his influence felt, but his voice barely heard. Some say he continued to plan for his return, while others believe he fell into disillusionment, spending his final years surrounded by the isolation of unfulfilled dreams. There were whispers of secret writings, hidden manuscripts detailing his thoughts and visions for a united Africa, perhaps even his reflections on the prophecy that had followed him all his life. Many of these writings were never published, leaving questions about what he might have revealed. Nkrumah's life story became a legend intertwined with destiny, danger, and mystery. From oracular warnings to nearly fatal attacks, and finally, a life in exile surrounded by unsolved riddles, Nkrumah's legacy is one of relentless courage against formidable odds. Each chapter of his story challenges us to wonder what might have been if he had achieved his dreams for Africa, and what hidden truths may have been lost with him.